Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Lucifer Season 5. And this will be my review and breakdown for Lucifer Season 5, Part 1. So if you guys weren't aware, this season will be split into two parts. So the first 8 episodes are actually referred to as Part 1, and later we will be getting the next 8 episodes. Now, the only reason I delayed this video to a week is so I could give all of you guys to just have a chance and watch this season before I obviously went into spoiler mode. Now, in regards to when we will be getting the second half of the season, I really have no idea because it hasn't been filmed yet, but hopefully we get it sooner rather than later. So, spoiler alert, if you guys haven't caught up with Lucifer Season 5 Part A, you guys have been warned, since I'll be breaking down the episode bit by bit the season bit by bit as I give you guys my overall thoughts on it. And also, if you guys are enjoying the content I put out there, please don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more DC content coming your way. Now, there are a lot of things to go through since this is pretty much a breakdown of the entire first half of the season. So one thing to mention is that I won't be going over everything episode by episode, but rather I'll be doing it about the characters, and I'll mainly be just talking about them, but I will refer to like some main episodes as well. So in the description down below, if you guys can see, I will probably add some timestamps over there so you guys can probably check out what I have to say from the characters that you're interested in and you'd like for me to talk about. Now, the reason to why there isn't a Lucifer timestamp is that I touch upon Lucifer in literally when I talk about the other characters. So yeah, let's not just waste any more time and get through these bullet points because I have a lot. So I would like to start off by saying this season started off in like a very decent way. If I'm being honest, it doesn't really dive right into the season, if you know what I mean by that. Like, it's still a good show and stuff, but I wasn't feeling how the season kicked off. So I'll start off by talking about Michael, who is basically our antagonist for this season. So we obviously saw more of Lucifer in Hell, which was pretty fun. We got to explore more of what he does, how he's dealing with being separate from Chloe. And obviously for Chloe it's been a couple of months, but for Lucifer it's been thousands of years. And I really liked how Lucifer, communicates with Chloe through dead corpses. I really liked how they did that in the first episode. So for the first couple of episodes, we see more of Tom Ellis as Michael, the Lucifer's twin, rather than Lucifer, which was pretty interesting, seeing him play two characters at once. If I'm being honest, everyone wanted to see him have that American accent, so I think that was a good addition that they added for Michael as well. So I really liked how Michael is more of this evil type of person over Lucifer in the show. There's a lot of him this season, which was pretty cool. And I really liked his motivations and how he just wants to take everything Lucifer once had. And that is obviously from the fact that Lucifer went back to hell, so he found this as like a perfect opportunity to basically take everything Lucifer once had. So it was pretty cool seeing that jealousy kick in. Like, we could see how jealous Michael was of Lucifer, and how like Lucifer gets praised for doing something simple like going back to where he's supposed to go, whereas Michael gets no recognition whatsoever. And so we have Michael impersonating Lucifer as he goes back to Earth and starts to take everything Lucifer had. Now, we obviously had Michael, aka fake Lucifer, making up some excuses to like Amenidiel and Chloe on how he was able to come back. And we have Chloe noticing that this Lucifer 2.0, if you want to say, is very different. Like, throughout the season, he starts to act weird, he starts lying, and this isn't Lucifer basically. And this allows Chloe to realize that this isn't Lucifer. So in that portion, I really liked like how Chloe was able to figure out that this wasn't Lucifer. And as we find out from Amenideil, Michael has become way more powerful than he previously was. And this is what really makes Amenideil go back to hell and tell Lucifer that Michael is impersonating him, he's in Earth, and he's basically trying to take everything Lucifer once had. And this results to Lucifer returning back to Los Angeles. But when Lucifer returns, I really liked that rivalry between Lucifer and Michael, and I really liked how Michael revealed that he was the one that planned everything. He's the one that basically destroyed Lucifer, and I really liked how he rubs that negativity on Lucifer and how he's unworthy and things like that. The fact they just rubbed all of that right on his face was just great, and we obviously had like such a great fight scene between the two as well. And as I said, Tom Ellis did an amazing job just acting as two different characters who are different to each other, although they're twins. And I really liked how Michael is just this manipulative character, and although he lies, you can just see how he's able to manipulate certain characters whenever he needs to. So I would now continue on with Maze. Now, one thing I really dislike was how Maze and Michael teamed up for this season, and Maze's arc this season, it just wasn't good. She's trying to become more human and less demon without a soul, and for that she's mad at Lucifer for leaving her on Earth. And as Lucifer says, well, you could have just went on Amenideil's back and he could have just flew you up there. So yeah, that was a very good argument that Lucifer made with her. So her points she made just weren't handled pretty well, and I just wasn't a fan of how Maze was done. And in terms of Michael and Maze teaming up, obviously that is where we first explore just how manipulative Michael is. Now, since I'm nitpicking things I didn't like, before I move on to the next character, let's just talk about the Noir episode. God awful. I really didn't like this episode. I was really struggling to cope with it. The only redeemable factor was that I was interested about the story of the ring, and also Tom Ellis playing the piano. I always get chills whenever he does that. But the other things that happened in this episode, I didn't like. I just didn't like this episode. If I'm being honest, I would probably give this episode like a 3 out of 10. Now, I know there will be another one in Lucifer Season 5 Part 2, but hopefully it's better than this one. And in this Noir episode, we get to explore Maze's mother as well, and her story was actually pretty interesting. But really, I would rather have Lilith for like a lot more episodes than just one, just to tie in some loose ends. And we obviously had them wrap up her story in one episode when she obviously gives Lucifer that ring, and she claims that she wants to be immortal, and so giving up her immortality to Lucifer, I guess, something like that. So the reason why I think this episode just didn't really work is that you have to take into account that these episodes were filmed before Lucifer got renewed for Season 6. So with that being said, all these episodes were written to be an ending in a way. So each of these episodes were basically meant to be the definitive ending to stuff like that. So the fact that they just had a new character for just one episode, it just didn't work. So the fact that they had so much to wrap up and they just introduced this new character out of nowhere, I really wasn't on board with that unless we had her for more than just this episode. So introducing a whole new character and just giving them a focus for one episode, it really didn't work, despite the storyline being quite interesting and fitting with Maze's story for this season. Now, Maze does also get a chance to meet Lilith as well, and so this is to obviously anger her even more due to this repetition of her being abandoned and how that makes her switch to Michael's side. And that's what Michael wants. He wants to, break Maze and make Maze join him. So he was successful in doing that. Now, another thing I have to nitpick, and I really had a problem with this, is how they resolved Lucifer coming back to Earth. We had Amenidiel stay over at Hell for a bit while Lucifer was doing his business at Earth, and when Amenidiel returns, we had him tell Lucifer that he'll no longer need to go back, that Hell no longer needs someone on the throne. And I was with Lucifer over there, as he does say that he spent thousands of years over there and nothing happens, and Amenidiel just stays there just overnight, and suddenly there's no warden that's needed. So I wish they found a better way to resolve this issue, because that is a serious issue that I had in regards to this season, and it does affect the second half of Season 5 in a way as well. So that is something that I really had to nitpick, because that is something that I really didn't like how they resolved. But then after the post Noir episode, this is really where the show starts getting its quality back. Like, that is the Lucifer series that I know. Okay, so moving on to Chloe Decker. Now, there was an interesting plot point added to Chloe Decker this season, which I didn't think they were honestly going to do. So towards the start of the season, we obviously see how she's dealing with the loss of Lucifer, and we see that she does this short team up with Maze, which was really fun. And the whole Michael thing, where she starts to notice that this isn't Lucifer, and the way that they handled all this stuff, it was really good. The build up to that was well handled, and obviously everyone was just wanting to see Lucifer and Chloe reuniting. And although that does end up happening, Michael, with that jealousy, is able to get into the way of this, and obviously revealed the secret to Chloe Decker, that she was actually made for Lucifer. Now, we obviously had Lucifer confronting this many seasons back. I think it was season 3, where his mother obviously told him that. But when Michael drops the bomb to Chloe, this does end up messing with Lucifer and Chloe's relationship, because this leads to Chloe struggling with the fact that her emotions and the way she feels about Lucifer isn't real, but rather it's all fake, because of the fact that she was made for Lucifer. So obviously she'd be attracted to him without really having proper feelings in a way. So you do understand where Chloe is coming from. And the thing with this is, then Amenidiel also had this great talk with Chloe, and this allows Chloe to basically embrace this abnormality in a way and look at it more like a gift, which is then where the Chloe and Lucifer relationship is able to start. As Amenidiel mentions the fact that people are drawn to Lucifer because he's able to draw out people's desires, and so he reflects those desires back at the very person. So that allows Chloe to embrace that, and because Chloe is immune to Lucifer's "what is it you desire," this gives that plot point that everything she had of him is real, whereas for the others it's fake. So that was a very poetic and just a great way to resolve this issue. And the line where she just mentioned to Amenidiel, "does that mean you're my dad?" That was just hilarious. Now, one interesting episode was that when Chloe was able to get Lucifer's mojo, and it was very fun at first, but as it kept going, I really wasn't a fan of it, but it was still quite interesting. And it was, in my opinion at least, it was dragged on for way too long and should have been resolved at the end of episode 7, not like midway through the mid-season finale. And I will touch upon Amenidiel and a bit of Lucifer as well. Now, Amenidiel didn't really have a lot to do, but he is my favorite character in this show, and I really liked what they did with Amenidiel. We start with him being the club owner of Lux, and he operates differently, and how he's starting to clean all of this dirt away so his child can obviously live in a very safe place. So that is something I really like that they added to Amenidiel's story. That Detective Amenidiel episode, oh my god, I loved that. And also just the interactions with Amenidiel and Lucifer and things like that as well. I just really liked how they were doing all of that. And Lucifer's story when he came back to Earth was very good as well, with him trying to deal with Michael, and that fantastic fight scene where they just fought against each other and Lucifer just tears Michael's face. That was so sick. But also with him reuniting with Chloe Decker and basically trying to solve the issue that Michael got in the way with, and obviously Michael dropped the bomb on Chloe, and we had Lucifer basically trying to talk to Chloe in regards to that. So I really liked how everything in that aspect was resolved as well. Now, one thing I really liked about Lucifer season 5 was that they gave Ella a story of her own as well, and that was obviously due to the fact that they needed to wrap up all of these characters somehow. So I really liked how these individual characters got their own stories to play with. So we have Ella with her story, and we got this introduction of her boyfriend, which was very interesting. Now, I always knew there was something up with him. However, with what they did with that character, I did not see coming. Because as I said before, the fact that they just randomly introduced a random character out of nowhere, there was something up with it, but I did not see it tying in with the serial killer storyline. I thought it was going to become something else, but the build up to Ella's boyfriend being revealed as the one behind all those flowers and stuff, it was great. And it was just shocking because he seems like such a nice guy at first, and when it got revealed, oh my god, my jaw dropped. Now, another story that I really liked and was really well handled was Dan Espinosa, and I really liked his story in this season. I really liked how they gave these nice comedic interactions between Lucifer and Dan, and that build up to him finding out Lucifer's identity. It was great. And him obviously dealing with Lucifer and him being afraid, it was very well done. We obviously have Michael continuing to manipulate the people, as well as this time he strikes to Dan and goes to manipulate Dan. And this results to Dan obviously going to Lux and he shoots Lucifer. And that was just a fantastic ending for episode 7. It was just such a great cliffhanger for the episode that it was at. However, in the finale, we find out that Lucifer is no longer vulnerable to Chloe. And that was a very interesting plot point that they built as well, which is obviously explored in the mid-season finale. So we get Chloe getting kidnapped by Michael, and he continues to break her as he drops more bombs, and that Lucifer is going through changes and how he's no longer vulnerable to her. So he makes Chloe question why that is the case. He hints to the fact that Lucifer never told Chloe that he loved her back. So this is where we see more relationship issues between Chloe and Lucifer again. And Chloe now starts to become apprehensive of the fact that Lucifer is pushing her away. And Lucifer does like Chloe, however he's just unable to say the words, which I'm very interested to see how they will resolve going into part 2 of season 5. Now, another great reveal that we got during the mid-season finale was that Amenideil's child, Charlie, is actually immortal. And we have Michael toying with that as well. Like, he's just messing with Amenideil. He's like, haha, your child is like immortal. So I'm very intrigued to see how Charlie's story plays out as well. And maybe his powers will just self-develop. And that part where he just starts laughing when he sees Lucifer's devil face, it was just hilarious. But we obviously get everything become slow-mo, and we get this absolutely awesome fight scene where we had Lucifer and Amenideil facing off Maze and Michael, and we just had such an awesome fight scene. It was very well choreographed, but also it was just so visually stunning as well, since everything was just in slow motion. And to obviously end off the mid-season finale, we had Lucifer's father appearing. Now, since Lucifer is a DC TV show, I'm going to refer to Lucifer's father as the Presence. In the ending, he obviously shows up and stops Michael, Amenideil, Lucifer and Maze from fighting. And so Lucifer and Amenideil will probably end up going to the Silver City in season 5 part 2, and they will get this very interesting storyline of their own. Maybe it's something Michael messed with at the start before he came to Earth, and he's trying to pin something on Lucifer again. So maybe something happens and that forces Amenideil and Lucifer to be sent to the Silver City. That should be a pretty cool storyline to explore. I cannot wait to see what they have planned for part 2. Now, maybe there will be an issue in the Silver City that will be needed for some help, because I don't know how they will be able to do this, because the problem is the Presence is literally the most powerful being within the DC universe. So there isn't really an issue which the Presence can't solve alone. So I'm very interested to see how everything just plays out. But yeah, overall, this season has been pretty enjoyable. As I said before, the first couple of episodes didn't start off too well, but then it really started to gain its quality again. So overall, for Lucifer season 5 part 1, I will give a 7 out of 10. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think about Lucifer Season 5 Part 1, as well as give me any theories that you guys have down below as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.